Bonjour everyone, I am Annelise Caillez and welcome to Parlez-Vous CEO, where we ditch the corporate talk and get real about entrepreneurship. Each week, I chat with founders and CEOs who build businesses their way, through the failures, pivots, and breakthroughs. And they bring the fire. Plus, I'll drop some golden nuggets of wisdom from my own entrepreneurial journey. This is your space to grow, learn, and evolve with a true growth mindset. Remember, success isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Now let's kick things off and get this party started. Hello, bonjour, bonjour, hello. Welcome to another episode of Parlez-Vous CEO. My name is Annelise Caillez and I am your host. For those who are just joining the podcast, we're Annelise Marketing. We specialize in helping female-led businesses scale their revenue. If you want to learn how to take your business to the next level, just put the word growth in the DMs. So today, please meet Melinda Vesley, the licensed clinical professional counselor who founded Empowering Minds Counseling in 2017, creating a unique practice that interweaves alternative healing with mental wellness in the Illinois Valley. Melinda, I am so happy to have you here join us on the show today. In your own words, could you tell our audience a little bit about who you are, what's your story and background?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. So I started out working as a task officer, actually, in the prison system. So it's kind of an interesting path, working mostly in substance abuse. And when I started doing that, I noticed that every person I worked with had trauma. So I decided to pivot my career a little bit and dive deeper into the mental health side of that, which led me working into community mental health for several years. I worked crisis work. So I was kind of like knee deep in the nitty gritty of it, right? Working in a lot of the hospitals. So I did that for several years. I worked then as a SAS worker as well, doing a lot of work with DCFS. So seeing just a lot of trauma in every way, shape, or form in a lot of different ages. So at some point, I have to tell you, I never ever wanted to be a business owner. I had no interest in doing that, but I felt really limited with community mental health. I could only do what, the confines they had me limited to. So at some point I decided I had to stretch myself a little further than I wanted to. And it's kind of grown way past what I ever wanted it to be or dreamed that it would be, which is awesome, as a trauma therapist. So I think a lot of us go into business, not with business not being our niche, right? We have another career that we've spent time in. So we have to learn to be a business owner. And it's not our number one priority, so to speak.
And so if you have to give an advice for somebody who is not a business owner yet, but who is thinking about, or thinking they could help more people if they had their own business, what would be the first thing that you would share with them as they're starting their journey?
Value your time. If I spend hours doing things outside of my zone of genius, it costs me more than it would have to hire someone who can do that job better and faster than I can. Humble yourself a little bit. I tell other women in business to outsource when you can. Don't do it all. It's okay.
Absolutely. And I think it is hard for a lot of people. I hear that a lot of people who are learning to delegate, especially in the beginning. So when did you feel that you got comfortable in starting to trust people and delegating and understanding also this understanding the concept of focusing on your genius zone? How long do you think it took you to understand that?
I did some consulting in the second year of my business, and that was one of the things that the guy I worked with taught me. And that was when I started to outsource. But it was hard. It was very hard for me to let go, right? We work hard for our business. It's our baby. So once I found someone that I trusted, right? We always hear, hire slow and fire fast. And there is so much truth to that. When you find someone that you trust, give them more, delegate more. They are worth their weight in gold for your business. So once I found that person, and she's worked with me since before I LLC'd, she stayed with me the whole time. And her and I have had a great working relationship together. It wouldn't be what it is today without her.
Wow, I love hearing that. And Melinda, what were the first things that you were able to delegate?
For my practice, it was billing. I did not go to school to be a biller. I went to school to be a clinician, right? So that's a whole nother world that, also came with some risk. If I messed that up, that put risk to my practice.
Hmm.
So not only was it, delegating, but also what is the risk if you attempt to do that on your own to your business? That's not your wheelhouse.
Absolutely. And I think to the point what you said, being humble about your shortcomings, but that requires self-awareness on your capability, your skills, what you're interested in doing, not doing. So that's definitely a bit of soul searching, especially when you're early stage in the business and you're overwhelmed with so many things going on. And Melinda, in your experience, what have been the most creative marketing strategy that have been the most successful in building your practice in Illinois?
Communicating with other people in the community, not even just in my niche, but what I have my girls do. I say girls because they are girls. We're all females in a female led business. So I have them we each practice different things. I have one therapist who works with families, I have one that works just with children. So I have them go out into our community and work with other providers in their niche, do the marketing, right? And I think a lot of us nowadays, given, all the technology we have, we want to work with the online platform. And we are in a more rural community. But even if we weren't, I would say there's nothing that makes up for that face to face connection. Go out in your community. Go meet other providers, even if they're in the same niche as you. It's so nice to make those connections. Go to the face to face conferences. Go to your local schools. Tell them what you do. Make all the connections. That is so worth its weight in gold. That has paid off more than any marketing campaign I have done. And guess what? It's free.
Mhm.
It doesn't cost anything to do that.
Yeah, that's a great secret to growing a thriving mental health practice in a smaller communities, the face to face, going to events, networking. Absolutely. And did you have any breakthrough moment that made you realize that you were truly making an impact?
I think when I do a lot of public speaking, a lot of outreach, a lot of events, I think the moments that I have are when I don't advertise the events that I'm doing. I just go because it's part of what I do. And automatically, I have many clients that I've worked with for years that just show up because they know I'm going to be there. To me, those are priceless moments. They're beautiful moments because I know I changed the trajectory of their lives as well.
And Melinda, how do you feel that your unique mind, body, spirit approach, how did it become your competitive advantage?
Well, I started out with my trauma background learning EMDR therapy, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's a unique approach to trauma work. And then I've also learned something called internal family systems, which I integrate into EMDR. And that approach talks about how we all have many parts inside of us. We all have a manager part that comes in, when we work on our careers as business women. And we all have a wounded child. We all have an angry teenager. We all have a lot of different parts. And this theory teaches us to identify our parts and work with them with love. And this I have found to be such an intuitive approach in working in my own personal work. it's helped me. And then I also, of course, work with my clients with that and that integrative approach.
That I think that's so interesting. And as you were building your business, what have been some of the most difficult challenges to overcome? And on the contrary, what have been some of the best moments to start your business? Worst and best.
Well, the worst, I think I was about 4 years in and I went through a divorce. And that was scary. That was very scary. In the state of Illinois, we're a no fault state. And I LLC'd after I was married, which put my business at risk. And that was very scary. That stalled my business growth for sure. And I can look back at those numbers and you could see there was no growth for a few years. And I had to do my own personal work during that time, and that was okay. But I think that was also looking back, that was very scary. And I think the biggest wins are coming now. I'm, 4 years out of my divorce now, and now the business is growing and we're expanding. And I'm also doing more, of pulling myself away from the business and doing more of the work I want to do, such as podcasting and public speaking and writing. And that feeds my soul in another way.
And if you had to give an advice to somebody, I mean, if you had to do it all over again, even you being in a relationship and getting divorced, what would you tell yourself 8 years ago when you started at LLC? What would you do differently?
Balance your life better. Don't be afraid to delegate when you need to delegate. Don't feel the need to hit the gas when things are going okay. Slow down. It's not about the 1 year plan. Sometimes it's about the 5 year plan or the 10-year plan for your business.
Time.
It was definitely something I wanted to do, but I had to learn how to balance my life better.
If you had a magic wand right now to help you with the business for the next year or so, what would it be?
It's a great question. I think to continue the balance. I have great support staff right now to keep up the momentum and to know that patience is important. Not everything is instant gratification in the business world, right? Things take time. Break down your goals. Make the goals smaller. We have great dreams, right? That's what makes us good business people. Break them down now.
What beautiful truth did you discover about healing through laughter?
Laughter is a part of us. That part of us, I would say, is a child part, right? Who loves to come out with curiosity and play. We all have that part within us and we get disconnected from it. So getting reconnected with that child part, she loves to come out, she loves to play. And in the business world, she gets stomped on, she gets stunted, and she needs to thrive in order for us to be creative. And guess what? When we're creative in business, business grows. That's where it started, from that child who was creative.
And Melinda, do you feel that you're the same person outside of work versus at work?
Yes and no. I have a therapist hat, I say, that I put on when I'm at work. And if I had that hat on all the time, I think I would be totally drained, right? So that therapist hat that's actively giving advice has to come off when I come home.
Are you able to do that? Are you able to compartmentalize in, your social interactions and
Yes, I call that my transition time. I think that's a great question. That's another thing I had to work on. I only have a 12-minute drive between when I come home and when I go to work. And if I don't have enough transition time, I'm not okay. I have to have transition time. So for me, that often looks like nature. That looks like working out. Sometimes that's just a phone call to a friend and dumping, but that has to look like something.
and it's 12 minutes.
It's 12 minutes, and sometimes that's not enough. I have to make more time. And
And Melinda, what moment in your journey revealed your calling to help people and transform their pain into power?
I think going through a lot of my own personal struggles with mental health. When I was in undergrad, I went through a lot of anxiety, and my track was pre-med. My degrees are in biology, chemistry, and psychology. And I saw a therapist on campus who was very influential for me. He helped me tremendously. And I was just like, you have the best job in the world. You get to see people get better every day. That is so gratifying. I can't imagine a better job than that. And that was when I changed my path.
And do you feel that witnessing your clients' healing transformations change your own understanding of resilience?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get to see that every day. And that is such a gift. That is a moment of awe that I have the gift to experience.
That I love that. That's so profound. And Melinda, what lights you up the most about the work you get to do every day?
Seeing people show up when it's not easy to show up. I get so many people that come in and say, God, you must think I'm nuts. You must think I'm crazy. And every time my answer is, the real crazy people are not strong enough to walk through these doors because they're not. They're not strong enough to look in the mirror.
Love
It
that.
takes a strong person to look in the mirror and decide, I'm going to work on me. I deserve this. Not everybody can do that.
Absolutely. I think it really takes you have to be brave to do that. Absolutely. And if you could speak to someone who is afraid to seek help for their trauma, what would your heart want them to know?
You are not alone. I have heard it all. I promise you, I have heard worse than the story you are going to tell. You are not, one thing I hear a lot of people say is they're scared they are going to hurt me by the story they have to tell. We are trained to help you. We are not a friend because many people call their friends, and what's their friend's reaction? It's not pretty, right? It's not good. So they try and tell it again, and that happens again. That's part of the trauma you are now carrying, the trauma of speaking your story. You need to speak to someone who is trained in trauma. Different therapists do different things, and a good trauma therapist is worth their weight in gold. We are trained to do things in a different way. And talking about your trauma, research tells us, does not fix it. There are other methods.
And Melinda, do you have any people in the mental health space that you look up to?
I have a lot. Yes. I have a lot of really great mentors, really great teachers. I wouldn't even know where to start. I think Dick Schwartz, who teaches IFS therapy, is amazing. He's written several good books. He's one of my faves. I also think Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote The Four Agreements and many other books, is great.
Amazing. And Melinda, if you had to give a piece of advice to your 20-year-old self, what would it be?
Stop caring about what other people think and follow your heart. Do what you love.
How do you do that?
You do parts work. You do IFS work.
And Melinda, where can people find you and what's coming up for your business?
They can find me at, let's see here. I want to make sure I'm giving you the right site, emcottawa.com. And then for our business, we are looking at opening a second location. We have 7 therapists now and a nurse practitioner. And then I'm also looking at doing more public speaking, more writing, and more podcasting.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Melinda. This was such a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Thanks.
And that wraps up today's episode. I am Annelise Caillez, and I can't wait to join you again next week. Thanks for listening to Parlez-Vous CEO today. If you enjoyed the show, leave a 5-star review. It helps us keep going. And connect with us on Instagram at Parlez-Vous CEO. I am Annelise Caillez, and I know some days are harder than others. On those tough days, think back to why you started. What you're doing today matters, even when you can't see the results yet. Ideas are great, but it's what you do with them that counts. Find everything we talked about today at parlezvousceo.com. See you next week, and you've got this.